Welcome to Pride and Purpose, where I highlight all things positive and good that's going on in Richmond. I'm your host, Jovanka Beckles. Today's show features urban farms. My guest today is Linda Schneider from Self-Sustaining Communities. Welcome, Linda.
Thank you very much for having me.
It's a pleasure.
Thanks for doing this.
Hey, so tell me your earliest memories of growing and farming.
I had a little house in El Cerrito. That was one of the very first houses there by a Portuguese immigrant family. And they had put in tons of fruit trees, and they grew all their own food.
That's great.
I lived there and added chickens. When I did that, neighbors came flocking around into my backyard. Kids were coming. All these people came around to see this new phenomenon. So I knew it was bigger than just growing food, that it was about community building and community vitality, local food. Then the economy tanked, and then it was a no-brainer.
Well, it sounds like our economy is pretty much what influenced you to get involved in urban farming.
Absolutely.
Well, aren't we lucky here in Richmond? Because we need so much more of that. Why Richmond?
Areas like Albany and El Cerrito already are in comfort zones. And it's much harder for them to understand the need for change. It's much harder for them to understand the importance of environmental well-being because they're very set and don't want any change. Richmond, on the other hand, welcomes anything that's kind of a breath of fresh air and positive and meeting some of the social needs, the needs of hunger and some homelessness and those types of things. And surprisingly, given the kind of reputation of Richmond, I found it a much more agreeable, forward-thinking, welcoming environment than any I've ever been in.
That's wonderful.
Thank you.
So tell us then, what is it? Tell us about your organization.
Okay.
Self-Sustaining Communities.
Right,
Tell us about that and describe what you do, what it is that you're doing here.
Okay. Self-Sustaining Communities is an all-volunteer charitable organization. We've passed out close to 10,000 fruit trees, fruit, nut, and olive trees. We've established or helped to establish 4 urban farms. We prefer the communities do it themselves, but we help provide materials and some volunteer efforts because I think when the community does it itself, it's very empowering.
Yes.
And then we bring in new ideas like rainwater harvesting benches to sit on a lot where you can have your seating, but you can gather rainwater outside of the economic realm. The trees we donate freely, obviously, and then we get seeds donated that we give out and chickens. And we're actually hoping to go all the way through all the survival needs of energy, housing, food, transportation, and social inclusion in green ways that the community does by creating themselves. And then they receive housing and energy and food by creating it outside of the normal economic realm.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about, Linda.
Thank you.
Where are you located? Tell us a little bit about the land that you're using and how you came by it.
The first lot where I'm actually living is over by American Soil in the Richmond Southwest Richmond Annex, and there's a 10,000 square foot lot that the use of has been donated by Kevin Hampton. Oh. And then we're helping, at the request of other city council people. We've helped Nina at 6th and McDonald by providing materials for her, and she really is a formative partner with us now. And then we help Andromeda Brooks at First and Chancellor. We got our first natural building structure up there made out of adobe made out of local clay. It's a greenhouse out of all recycled materials.
Wow.
And so it's all volunteer, and then we bring in either people who know how to do these things to teach us as a community skill building. We have beehive workshops, and we have beehives on the various sites. And then a 4th one in Parchester Village that has a little less of community involvement, except for some other guy in Richmond who loves going out there and doing it. So those are the locations currently.
That's great. And so you use all volunteers. And so if someone said, I really love that program, I want to get involved, how can they get involved?
They could contact us they could either go to any of those sites if they know where they are and just say, I want to be part of this. They could also, if they had a location near them and they wanted to do something like this or in their own neighborhood, we'd be willing to help pass out trees and seeds, and if they can organize or even disorganize. It doesn't have to be all in place. It can be one step at a time.
Yes.
We're happy to help with that. And so we have a website and, of course, my phone number.
Okay, well, tell us your website. What is the website?
The website is self-sustainingcommunities.org.
Okay.
And the phone number is 510-230-0904.
So, Linda, if you imagine a better Richmond, what does it look like?
That's a really good question. A better Richmond is when all the community members know that they equally create the quality of the community, and that each person is respected and valued at least by themselves internally.
Yes, yes.
And that becomes a value in our society, as opposed to what you own or what you look like, but that the importance of being part of the whole picture, that everybody plays their part meaningfully.
Absolutely. Well, that's a beautiful, I think, way for us to conclude our interview today. It's such a pleasure. We've been blessed today by Linda Schneider on Pride and Purpose, featuring me, Jovanka Beckles, your host. Linda, thank you so much for joining us. It was indeed a pleasure, and I'm looking forward to seeing all the continued greatness and blessings that you bring to our city. Thank you.
Thank you.